Praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Today we're going to talk about Babylon the Great, and we're going to get some insight and characteristics of Babylon. So let's talk about it and get some insight on Babylon the Great. It said among John's vision recorded in the book of Revelations, pronouncement of judgment against Babylon the Great, as well as the description of her downfall. Revelations 14:8. You can read that. 16, 19, chapter 17, 18, and 19, 1 and 3. It say in Revelation 17, 3 and 5, Babylon the Great is described as a woman arrayed in purple and scarlet, richly adored, and sitting upon a scarlet-colored wild beast, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Upon her forehead a name is written, a mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots, and of the disgusting things of the earth. She is also depicted as sitting on many waters, representing peoples and crowds and nations and tongues. And you can read that in Revelation 17, 1 and 15. It says the luxury and the dominion attributed to Babylon the Great do not allow for simply equating her with the literal city of Babylon in Mesopotamia. After ancient Babylon fell in Cyrus Persian in 539 BCE, it lost its position as the dominant world power. Its captives, including the Jews, being freed, although the city continued to exist even beyond the days of the apostles, and hence existed in John's days. It was no longer a city of world importance and eventually fell into decay and utter ruin. Thus, Babylon the Great must be viewed as a symbolic city, one of which the literal city of Babylon was the prototype. So, that's America, the prototype, because the ancient city gives the mystic city its name. It is helpful to consider briefly the outstanding features of Babylon on the Euphrates, featuring that provide clues as to the identity of the symbolic city of John's vision. So we understand Babylon the Great, even ancient Babylon was a great place, very wealthy place, full of riches, and that's why it's saying that she's representing people in crowds and nations and tongues. So just like right here in America, where we have different languages spoken, different nations. Right here in this place right here where we at. So let's finish getting the characteristics of Babylon so we'll get a better understanding. It says the founding of the city of Babylon on the plains of the Shinar was concurrent with the attempt at building the Tower of Babel. Okay. It says the popular cause to be advanced by the tower and city construction was not the exaltation of God's name. So in this place right here, in they didn't exalt the Most High name. You know, it say, but the builders might make a celebrated name for themselves. You see that? So that's why a lot of people hearing a new name of the Most High, a name that they haven't heard before. It said the ziggurat tower was uncovered not only in the ruins of ancient Babylon, but elsewhere in Mesopotamia, which seemed to confirm the essentially religious nature of the original tower, whatever its form or style. The decisive action taken by Yahweh, who is God, to overthrow the temple construction clearly condemns it as a false religious origin. So in Babylon, there's a false religion, and not the new name, and not the name being exalted. They say, whereas the Hebrew name giving the city Babel means confusion. So the word Babel means confusion, and that's why they call Babylon the Great, the land of confusion, because this is where you have many tongues spoken, many languages, many nations, and everybody in one lot or whatever. I'll say, whereas the Hebrew name means confusion, the Sumerian name and the Akkadian name both means gate of Yahweh, or gate of God, who we call Yahweh in the Hebrew. They say, thus the remaining inhabitants of the city altered the form of its name to avoid the original condemnatory sense. See what I'm saying? So, like I say, this new name is being condemned. It say, but the new and substitute form still identified the city with religion. The Bible lists Babel first when giving the beginning of Nimrod's kingdom. You can read that in Genesis 10, 8 through 10. It says, throughout the Hebrew scriptures, the ancient city of Babylon is featured commonly as the longtime enemy of God and his people. Though Babylon became the captive of the political empire in the 7th and 6th centuries BCE, it was outstandingly prominent during its entire history as a religious center form, which religious influence radiate in many directions. So this is the characteristics of ancient Babylon and Babylon the Great, which is America. I hope you guys was edified on Babylon. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining, and I'll be back with the next one. Peace.